Welcome everyone to Wrasslin Raw!
You're listening to Wrasslin Raw, the podcast that takes you back to when the new generation took over the WWF. Thank you for joining us. You're here with Ryan Arico.
Bartlett, you're gonna pay. You're gonna pay for sure, and I think the Hitman's gonna make you pay.
Joe Gimateo.
I have friends in low places.
I'm the one and only Jason Bartlett, and we're going to examine WWE history one episode of Raw at a time. But first, two items that I want to throw out there for our listeners, some very special news. I was telling the guys about it here a couple minutes ago. I managed to pick up at a local auction here in my town an authentic, in-the-box, with full graphics and full instructional material copy of WWF's 1995 Sega Genesis game, Raw. And it's gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Especially with Luna on the cover there.
From the future.
At the very top, we've got The Undertaker, Yokozuna. In the middle, we've got Lex Luger, Donk the Clown, and Bret Hart, because Bret's on the same level with them. And at the very bottom, Diesel, Razor Ramon, and Luna Vachon. I don't even think Luna Vachon was in here in 1995.
Well, she's always there. She's a futuristic creature.
That's true.
That is true.
Yeah, we keep on forgetting about that.
Yeah.
But just a quick glance at the roster, because they do give the roster on the back here. Let's see, there's Bret Hart, Bam Bam Bigelow, the 1-2-3 Kid, Diesel, Donk, Lex Luger, Luna Vachon, Owen Hart, Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, and Yokozuna. I'm not sure if Luna Vachon is playable here, but we've got a lot of little scenes of all the different things you can do, and I'm pretty damn excited to be getting into this game.
Why do they not have the women's champ here? If they have Luna Vachon, why no Alundra Braze, no Bull Nakano?
I don't know.
Is there a year on the back of that?
Let me see here. 1994 is actually the date that's part of the copyright on the back here. So it does advertise that it has true-to-life attribute levels, and Bret Hart's height is low. Just throwing that out there. I, in all seriousness, though, I am very excited to get into that. That's going to be fun as hell, I think.
Mm-hmm.
A second lesser note of importance, I just want to send a quick thank you out to one of my many burner phones that just popped Ryan's bubble a few minutes ago. We figured out a mystery that's been going on here at Wrasslin Raw, and pretty sure it's another one of my burner phones. That's all.
He's got a lot of them, folks.
Well, you know, there's drugs to be dealt and numbers to be skewed.
When you're as shady as him.
Seriously, though, I am not dealing drugs. I am skewing our numbers, but I am not dealing drugs. All right, so in this episode of Wrasslin Raw, we're going to be talking about the Raw that aired on April 24th, 1995. This Raw was recorded at the Omaha Civic Auditorium in Omaha, Nebraska, and features Vince McMahon and Jerry the King Lawler on commentary. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Uh-huh.
All right, then. Let's get into it. So, our intro, Bam Bam Bigelow's Fall from Grace. That's what we're kicking this episode off with, highlighting the recent history of Bam Bam, especially the fact that Lawrence Taylor's speed and endurance were just too much for Bam Bam. We get a quick clip of the Bam Bam babyface press conference, where Bam Bam almost sounds like he's holding back tears in discussing his current status with the $1 Million Corporation. To summarize that, he was unsure of where he stood. Then we're reminded of the single biggest disappointment in the history of wrestling, Psycho Sid joining the $1 Million Corporation. It's not made explicitly clear what that has to do with Bam Bam just yet, but I'm assuming it's because we've stuck Sid into the role of running interference here, perhaps, because later on tonight we are going to have a match, a championship match, no less, between Diesel and Bam Bam Bigelow, so it's being foreshadowed that Sid might play a part in that. We don't know, though. We're going to have our intro music.
Tonight, we're deep in the heart of Cornhusker country, coming to you live from Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah, it was kind of off the rockers a little bit, this whole intro here. Vince was very happy to be there. The King is going to sell the shit out of the championship match for us, and as he finishes up, we're going to hear some gunshots signaling the beginning of our first match. The Smoking Guns defeat Barry Horowitz and the Brooklyn Brawler by pinfall in 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Once again, everybody, the fingers of Wrasslin Raw reach back into the past to guide the industry. The Smoking Guns have dropped another 10 pounds of entrance gear, so that all they need to take off now are their leather vests and cowboy hats. This makes for a much better presentation. We won't have to wait a half hour for them to get undressed in the ring. Barry Horowitz and the Brooklyn Brawler are already in the ring, somewhat breaking the jobber rule here, as both jobbers have gimmicks. The Brooklyn Brawler wearing his beat-to-hell Brooklyn outfit, and Barry Horowitz wearing a ridiculous spangly getup, but prominently standing in the middle of the ring and patting himself on the back for the hard camera. The match kicks off with Billy and Barry, and the action is good. Brooklyn Brawler gets tagged in, and I have to note, once again, the Brooklyn Brawler really, really looks like pre-nose collapse Artie Lang in this. As we cycle through tags, this match is fairly tight. There's no particular moves or series that really stood out to me, but there are 3 things worth noting happening in this match. First of all, as we've mentioned before, the Smoking Guns are experts at the quick tag. They seamlessly tag in and out in the middle of moves and setups. It's a blur watching them go back and forth. Second, their finishing move, which is applied to the Brooklyn Brawler, which will get them the pin and the 3 count. I can't remember what this move is called. Vince doesn't reference it at commentary, but Bart puts the Brawler up on Bart's shoulders. Billy does a running diamond cutter to finish it up and get the pin. This was a great-looking move. Third, aside from the first 20 seconds or so of this match, Barry Horowitz is not in the ring at all for the remainder of the match, and this angers me on a visceral level. I can't even begin to describe how angry I am that Barry Horowitz was once again denied his spot in the sun.
The only thing that gives me a little warm, fuzzy feeling is that I already did his Jobber of the Week, and we do know he will be getting a push soon.
Yes, and it can't come soon enough, as far as I'm concerned, at least.
Yes.
Well, the Guns are still celebrating their victory in the ring as we transition to our next segment. But first, Ryan, why don't you get us going on this first match of our episode tonight?
Right from the get-go, I loved those teenagers that were doing like the best football stadium, impersonation that they could do, where they all had their shirts off spelling WWF Raw. I got a good chuckle out of that. I thought, it's great to see dedicated fans like that. Like when we went with our faces painted up like the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
In 2001 when he wasn't even there. But yeah, kind of like you said, it starts off pretty smooth. I mean, it's a shame Barry Horowitz is only in there for such a short amount of time, and then the Brawler gets in there. But both of these former Jobber of the Weeks do an excellent job in there. And you already mentioned it too, Bartlett. The surprising thing here is these are both jobbers that have gimmicks, and that puts them head and shoulders above all other jobbers. I mean, that alone. And I have to admit, I have always loved the Brooklyn Brawler's just slob fucking bum look that he has. I mean, it looks like he just crawled out of a garbage can. I don't know if he's a cousin to Duke the Dumpster, but he looks like he could be.
His roommate.
Or Artie Lang.
Or Artie Lang, yeah. Outside of, mentioning how smooth and what a great jobber match this was, it's extremely short. So there's not a ton of spots to really talk about here. But again, you mentioned a different part about us reaching into the past. And here we are, the Guns making the motion for the belt and Vince saying that maybe they'll get their rematch.
Yeah.
So finally, they're going to get a rematch at the belt. So I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, that makes me happy too. Because I really like the Smoking Guns as a tag team more and more every time we see them, pretty much. They just have really smooth moves together. They just have good tandem moves, like Bartlett, you described that one move that they do. And that's just one of probably, 5 that they do together.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I got pretty excited when this started because these are two, arguably the best jobbers of all time, as we've discussed.
Well, I mean, as we've mentioned, the King and the Duke
pretty much.
together.
And I'm thinking like, oh, hell yeah, this is going to be fucking awesome. But it was a little bit short, it wasn't, it didn't really, it was definitely an enhancement match for the Smoking Guns, and that's okay. But I kind of wish it would have been a little bit longer. And also during this match, we got an announcement that Bret Hart will be facing Hakushi at In Your House. So we got that official announcement from Vince.
And that's good to hear.
Yeah. And that's good to hear. But yeah, I mean, I liked the match. I just wish it would have been a little bit longer.
Yeah, I agree with you guys completely on that. If there's anybody that could have given us a fantastic match, a fantastic tag team match, it's this pairing. It's the Smoking Guns, it's Barry Horowitz, it's the Brooklyn Brawler.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have already said it, but the jobber team here perfectly enhanced. The guns are now front and center in our awareness. We know that they're going for the belts. We're reminded that they exist and that they are a great tag team. This is everything that I could have asked for in a match, but again, like you guys have both said, really wish it was longer. I could have watched easily another 5 minutes of this. It was a very, very tight, well-organized match. This is the kind of tag team wrestling I enjoy watching. On a side note, you mentioned about the Brooklyn Brawlers outfit.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I was watching this, I left it out of my notes, but because I didn't want to just bring it up by itself, but since you've brought it up, the first thing that I thought of whenever I saw the Brooklyn Brawlers outfit was my old gym uniform from high school. Do you guys remember that? It was like full of holes and covered in blood and dirt. Because I
never washed it.
I refused to wash it for like 5 years. So
yeah,
memories.
So you too are a ancestor of Duke the Dumpster.
Yeah.
Including Rob Bartlett, man, your family tree. I got to tell you,
boy,
yeah,
start chopping it down.
Well, we will move it along to the next segment. Next segment's going to begin with a split screen. Ted DiBiase and Bam Bam Bigelow are backstage getting ready for their upcoming match, and holy shit, Bam Bam has a shiner on his eye.
He just got this shit kicked out.
Somebody fucking decked him. Bam Bam is going to make everybody proud by bringing the championship back to the corporation. Vince isn't going to let the opportunity to make up a story go by, though.
Bam Bam, we noticed you are sporting a shiner there. Can you tell us how the hell it happened?
We don't get an answer, though. Bam Bam would rather talk a little more shit on Diesel in the upcoming match than explain what the fuck happened to his eye. I was very curious about this. I didn't know if this was the episode of Matt Bourne punching him for snitching on drugs or what, but actually, now that I think about it, it's a little too late in the timeline for that, but...
Yeah, I wish Matt Bourne was still there.
Yeah, really. That entire segment, though, Bam Bam backstage talking with Ted DiBiase, whole segment was pretty off-putting, though, because the entire time it was going on, we still had the Smoking Guns music repeating constantly in the background. That early 90s generic country music sound really
that twanging
killed.
Guitar.
Yeah, that sound just really killed whatever kind of impact Bam Bam's words might have had during this promo segment. Diesel is going to join commentary via video feed here. There's going to be a quick promo from him. He's going to talk about the upcoming match with Bam Bam. Diesel comes across, to me at least, as confused at a couple points there, and he's trying to keep up with the convoluted story. Vince just keeps prompting him with the points of that story. This is regarding the fact that it was Diesel all along who invited LT to the Royal Rumble and was the whole reason Bam Bam got humiliated. But before we move on, just real quick, guys, Joe, please go first. Any comments on our back-to-back promos here?
I don't have much here, but I have a question for you guys. When Vince comments on the black eye that Bam Bam has, he says something like, "Your name isn't something, is it?" Did you guys hear what that was?
I didn't rewind it. I just assumed he's probably talking about a boxer that got knocked out really quick or something.
What I thought. I rewound it like I must have listened to this like 6 times. I couldn't tell what he said, but I was wondering if you guys knew. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is strange. It's like, I don't know. The Bam Bam interview was okay. The Diesel promo was okay too, but like Vince is really putting Diesel over. He's trying too hard.
Yeah. Wait till later in the match.
Yes. Yeah. And this is kind of where it starts. Like he's like, Diesel was just in Germany. And it's like, who cares? Yeah. Who gives a shit? So yeah, that's all I have on that.
I gotta say, and not to the way Bam Bam necessarily did it, but I did not like this promo at all for a variety of reasons. One, I don't know if Bam Bam actually had a black eye or if this was just kind of makeup to humiliate him even further. And even like when they had him talking, yeah, he was kind of trying to shit talk on Diesel, but it was in this tone that was like almost like a waffling wussy type. Like it just wasn't the strong Bam Bam that we know. This was like a weak, scared Bam Bam, and I didn't like it. So that's what I have to say about it. Diesel's, he started out, like you said, Bartlett, a little bit confused and flubbing his words, but I did think as it progressed, he got a little bit better and it didn't end terribly. So I thought his promo was okay, but I did not care for the Bam Bam promo.
Yeah, I'm going to pretty much agree with you guys on this, although for maybe different reasons. The Bam Bam promo, like I said in my little breakdown there, I couldn't take it seriously because the entire fucking time, Smoking Guns music going on in the background, just blasting. And I understand that, it's Vince McMahon and Jerry the King Lawler at the commentary table talking to Bam Bam, but who the hell is, who's planning these shows, producing this, that is just ignoring the fact, like, okay, now we need to go to an interview with Bam Bam backstage. Maybe we should kill the house PA music or or at least turn the fucking volume down or something while the Smoking Guns are getting out of the ring so that we can focus more on this other thing that's going to be on TV for millions of people to see,
That's why they green screen this shit. When you do it live, you have stuff like this happen.
Yeah, I suppose. Although stuff like this can be avoided with just a simple amount of forethought. But, that's just me. I'm a bit of a perfectionist sometimes, I guess. As far as Diesel goes, I still don't like Diesel. This didn't get, no matter how much Vince tries, this did not get Diesel over at all with me personally. I'm not going to shit talk him or anything. He's just not my cup of tea. He does a fair job most of the time. And I'll leave it at that for now because we have more Diesel to talk about later on here. And whenever we leave the Diesel promo, there's just a teensy bit of chatter at commentary there, but that chatter is going to take us into our next match. Oh boy. Bertha Faye defeats La Pantera Serena by pinfall in 3 minutes and 35 seconds. And La Pantera Serena is our jobber of the week. Take it, Ryan.
Thank you, Bartlett. La Pantera Serena is this week's jobber.
La Pantera jobber.
I just want to start this off by apologizing to any of our Latino listeners out there. I know I'm going to botch some of these Spanish words, and I assure you...
Much like Pantera's moves in the ring.
I assure you, I don't mean any disrespect by it. I'm just a moron. So, Pantera was born Lydia Horticenza Rigel Evalos on December 29th, 1955, in Guadalajara, Mexico. She was trained by Chato Quezada and Diablo Velasco. She has gone by the ring names La Galactica 2000, Lady Discovery, Lady Metal, and Pantera Serena, which means Southern Panther in Spanish. Sadly, this was Lydia's only match for a major U.S. promotion, so even though she had a very long career, the details are a little bit sparse about her, so I apologize for that as well. Linda started her career as a luchadora enmascarada. If you're not familiar, that means a masked fighter in the wrestling community. But she lost her match to Lola Gonzalez in 1977. Though not confirmed by her till later in her career, she spent the 80s still wearing a mask, but wrestling as La Galactica, Lady Discovery, and Lady Metal, before returning to the name Pantera Serena, but now honoring her 1977 loss by not wearing a mask. In her almost 40 years, she has won the Destrada Federella Women's Championship, the UWA World Women's Championship, and the Mexican National Women's Tag Team Championship with Martha Villalobos, as well as the All Japan Women's Pro Wrestling World Singles Championship. On June 14th, 2009, Pantera retired after losing to Black Diamond and Silver Star with partner El Porto. She ended her career with 66 wins, 111 losses, and 7 draws, losing around 60% of her matches, which, in the jobber sense, really isn't that bad.
No.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
Yeah, 60% rate. I don't know. That's...
well, I mean, we've had other jobbers in the 88% range.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, don't get me wrong. After watching this, she is absolutely a jobber.
Oh, sure, sure.
But 60% rate is a little generous for whoever was booking her matches.
What I find funny about all of it is Lady Discovery is the name of my yacht. Yeah. Coincidence? I think not. It's because I named it after La Pantera Serena. She's been my hero forever. No, I don't really have a yacht. But speaking of large, very large things that should probably stay in the water and not be here in front of us, I can't even put into words the thoughts and emotions that were going through me as Bertha Faye was skipping out of the entryway with handsome Harvey Whippleman, skipping down the ramp.
You don't picture the two of them getting it on?
What the fuck? You know?
Oh, Bertha.
With that voice of his, too. Come on, Bertha!
Yeah.
They do mention that repeatedly throughout this match. They dance around the image of poor Harvey getting his fucking pelvis annihilated by this woman. I think on top is the only way that could happen. But anyway, La Pantera Serena is already in the ring waiting as we get a quick highlight of the previous altercation between Bertha Faye and Alundra Blaze, the incident that ended up with Alundra Blaze needing rhinoplasty as a result. The camera has repeatedly done sweeping up and down views of Bertha Faye. This starts whenever she's coming out of the entryway up at the top, the whole way down as she's skipping, and then as she's climbing up the steps into the ring, and once she's already in the ring, we get at least a half a dozen, if not more, just sweeping up and down views of Bertha Faye's girth. Girtha Faye. The most recent angle that they have here, the final angle before the match really gets going, highlights the knee brace that is hidden under her knee pad, and it's a big brace. This view of the knee brace, it made me realize that the phrase that I'm looking for in describing Bertha Faye is broken down. Bertha Faye just kind of looks old and broken down and not at all the kind of youthful energy that we're used to and expect with people like Alundra Blaze, Bull Nakano, or even Luna Vachon for that matter. And as expected, we are making a monster here, as nothing La Pantera Serena does in the first 30 seconds has any effect on Bertha Faye. She no-sells everything. At one point, Bertha throws her ass into Serena in a type of like a hip check, does massive damage there. It's to be expected with an ass that big. And then Serena starts a rally with a hip toss that kind of looked all right, and then went for a kick on Bertha Faye's knee, the knee that has the knee brace on it. And Bertha does a huge no-sell on that kick. Bertha pulls her leg so far up that Serena barely makes contact with it. It looked very, very awkward. one of many things in this match that looked awkward. I mean, I'm not going to get every single one of them because generally this match wasn't that great. But then, there's another botch. When Serena attempts some kind of attack from the corner, Bertha stands there waiting for it. And it's bad enough to prompt Vince to say there's a lack of communication in the ring. Bertha continuously blows kisses to Harvey Whippleman, as this match takes so much longer than it needs to. What was that time again? 3 minutes and 35 seconds. Finally, after an admittedly impressive full military press that Bertha was able to pull off with La Pantera Serena, but not with Alundra Blaze, who's probably about 20 pounds lighter a couple weeks ago, Bertha gets the pin and the 3 counts. Ryan, please, what did you think about the in-ring debut of Bertha Faye?
When she comes down to the ring and I got a shot of her getup, I gotta say it was interesting, to say the least.
Ugh.
And it also appears we've gone too many weeks without mentioning Roseanne Barr, even though she was not mentioned directly by name. The King says Harvey Whippleman has become the Tom Arnold of the WWF, which of course at the time Tom Arnold was married to Roseanne Barr. So that's for you, Bartlett. I knew you were waiting for that. And as the match starts and we have Large Marge skipping around the ring, this looks like a completely different persona than we saw a few weeks ago when she attacked Alundra Blaze. Like, she was in this all black, tight leather, kind of like a biker punk look to her. And now she has on colorful polka dots and she's skipping around. So that part kind of confused me too, but I'm not going to think about it too hard because she's terrible. We get a lot of weight jokes out of the King. My favorite is probably her 501s aren't 501s, they're 747s. Yeah. Really getting into Al Bundy territory with some of those. And to be honest, she looks like someone who might have showed up at
the shoe store.
Yeah, at the shoe store for Al Bundy. She looks like one of those people. And I know it's tough to really get a good feel for how Pantera would have really looked in the ring because Bertha Faye just no-sells everything. And anything that maybe would have looked fine just looks terrible because of the no-sell. I mean, I don't know what Pantera could have done to look better in this match. So very difficult to get a true sense as to how she would have actually been in a match against a decent worker. But the botches were left and right. Like you said, enough to make Vince break kayfabe. I mean, he flat out says when that terrible botch off the top rope, they had a lack of communication. I mean, blatantly saying they're supposed to have some communication in the ring here, and they don't. So you knew he had to have been fuming watching this match, as this is the woman that's supposed to go up against his woman champ. So yeah, pretty bad. The only thing I'm upset is that this is what we have to look forward to aside from Bull. Like, we don't get Bull's rematch, just like the Smoking Guns didn't get a rematch forever. Instead, we get this thing.
This is the worst match that we've seen on Raw since the beginning of this podcast, early 93. I can't think of a worse match.
Underwear match?
Yeah, I was going to say the Whippleman
yeah, maybe
tuxedo match.
Whippleman was involved in that one, too.
Whippleman was, yeah. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. This was really bad. I can't believe they put this on TV. I can't believe it's on live TV like this. The McMahon family now gets a lot of praise for the women's evolution, but let's not forget the McMahon family also booked this shit. This is just fucking horrible. How are we supposed to believe that this woman is an actual threat to Alundra Blaze? Like, Alundra Blaze is a fucking machine.
She's a monster.
This disgusting human being with this disgusting gimmick, like, I don't understand it. And like you mentioned, Ryan, they had her come out as like this monster with this heel makeup, and now she's like a totally different gimmick.
Yeah.
You know, Alundra Blaze is getting work done on her nose or whatever, so she's going to be out for a few weeks. So I don't know why even do this now. Just wait till she comes back.
Yeah. This was terrible in so many different ways. So the first and most immediate thing that I thought of whenever I was watching this match that really kind of got my jimmies rustled was, this is where we are going. We have, with the women's division, we have these shining rays of hope in the Alundra Blaze Bull Nakano matches. Phenomenal matches. The ones that we've seen between Alundra Blaze, Bull Nakano, one was a match of the year candidate for 1994. That's, I'm not saying that every single match needs to live up to that standard, but this is such a significant step down for the women's division that I can't do this with this bullshit. I can't fucking become hopeful anymore about what we're going to see in the women's division. I know that it's eventually going to get to the whole divas, bullshit and, not really being about women's wrestling anymore, later on in the Attitude Era. So I'm trying to get as much of this as I can now before we enter the Dark Ages. And this shit doesn't help at all. She's a horrible wrestler. All of the no-selling does not do any kind of a service to her. It doesn't make her look like a monster. It just makes her look like shit. Poor La Pantera Serena. I'm sure there probably was some communication issues in the ring because she, by your Jobber of the Week breakdown, Ryan, there, she probably isn't that strong on the English. We don't know that for a fact, but I can't imagine that somebody as repulsive as Bertha Faye was that accommodating to the communication issues they might have had before this match whenever they were laying it out, if they even bothered to lay it out, because it didn't look like they tried.
So one thing just to point out about Bertha Faye and talking about her personality, and this might just throw a little bit of a kink into our thoughts about her. When I was doing research about Pantera, I came across Bertha Faye information, and I found that during her stint here at the WWF, she became very good close friends with Owen Hart.
Well, that's fine and everything, but it's on record with many people. Most recently, I heard Jim Cornette say it whenever he was talking about on his podcast with his time as, Owen and Yoko's manager here. Owen Hart was friends with everybody. That's one of the reasons why Owen Hart was such a great guy, is he went out of his way to be friends with as many people in the business as he possibly could.
Still, but the fact that she was friends with him does give me a little bit of hope for her.
Yeah, I don't know. I tell you what, I will suspend judgment and wait and see how that friendship improves her operation in the ring here.
Probably none. Okay.
Well, yeah, that is cool and everything. Don't get me wrong, but I see no silver lining to this whatsoever. Not to mention the fact that if they had to pick somebody to come in, because they obviously did. Alundra Blaze and Bull Nakano can't carry the women's division as much as I would like to see them try. They had to bring people
in. You need some more people.
They had to. And the fact they went with this person, who is very obviously older, heavier, slower, pretty poor damn shape, suggests to me that nobody is taking the women's division seriously, and whatever hope we had, we should just probably flush down the toilet. So, yeah, this match pissed me off quite a bit.
Just wait until Alundra Blaze goes to leave for her monster truck career.
Yeah, well, at least that will be putting me out of my misery with this shit. We'll never have to see Bertha Faye again. Gertha.
She did die at a very young age, like 42 or 43 or something.
Bertha Faye?
Yeah.
She looks like she's 57 in this match.
She's not.
Oh, man. Well, early onset diabetes will do that to you.
I believe it's alluded to she took her own life.
Well, I'm a piece of shit now for saying that. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, I do what I can.
Yeah, I don't like to speak ill of the dead too much, but come on now. This was a horrible match.
It's fucking comedy again. It's Clowns Are Us all over again. Basically.
Yeah. You know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things that I thought about with this was that they gave her, and I couldn't think of a way to really put it into a better context. They gave her the Dusty Rhodes treatment. 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago or whatever it was, she came out in, like you guys said, the black leather and the Kiss makeup and all that shit and was at least kind of acting like a badass. And now they've got her in fucking heart-shaped polka dots being all goofy and skipping around and stuff. It's the Dusty Rhodes treatment.
Well, it's only going to get worse, and you'll find out why.
Great.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it.
I'm going to have to shut down some of my burner phones so that we can stop getting downloads and decide to just quit doing this so I don't have to do that. My God. Speaking of wanting to quit, Todd Pettingzoo ruins my day with an in-your-house report in 3 minutes and 12 seconds. That does not include the Sid promo at the end, which we will get to. Todd begins this in-your-house report with a bold-faced lie, claiming that In Your House is a new kind of pay-per-view. It isn't. You're still paying to view content, no matter what the price is. Main event, Diesel versus Sid for the championship. I'm sure that's going to be an amazing match. A new match has been added to the card here, a tag team match between a bunch of singles. This is going to be Razor Ramon and the 1-2-3 Kid taking on Double J, Jeff Jarrett, and the Roadie in what will be the Roadie's in-ring debut. Kind of looking forward to that, actually. Bret Hart is going to take on Hakushi, who is apparently still undefeated in singles action. And, by the way, Pettingzoo asked Bret Hart about some kind of open contract that Jerry the King Lawler has been referring to. I have no idea what they're talking about here, and neither does Bret, though, so I suppose that's all good. Hey, guys, did you know that the WWF is going to give away a house?
What?
No.
Send your identifying information, as well as a single drop of blood on a hermetically sealed Q-tip, to a P.O. box in Melville, New York. You could be watching In Your House, From Your House, and win a new house. Cool. Fucking Pettingzoo.
When he said that cool part, I wanted to punch my fucking screen.
And just when I think I'm about to have to go scoop the litter box again, Pettingzoo informs us that with Diesel defending the title against Bam Bam later on tonight, Psycho Sid is in the building. And Sid has something to say about it. Cut to an absolutely terrifying close-up of Sid's mush, glistening with sweat and baby oil and insanity, 3 inches away from the fucking camera lens. And I quote, "You asked me if I'm happy? Well, there will only be one thing that will make the master happy." That confused the shit out of me there. "And I become the World Wrestling Federation champion. And about tonight," here Sid pauses in ecstasy, "I have friends in low places." The entire time that this promo has been going on, Sid has been gritting his teeth, biting his lips, and we haven't left the close-up of his face. We stay 3 inches away from the tip of his glistening nose the entire time. That is genuinely what nightmares are made of. Before we move on, Joe, what do you think about the new additions to the match card at In Your House and that Sid promo?
Well, I was scooping the litter box up until the the Sid promo, and I loved that. There had to be at least 10 gallons of baby oils just dumped on his head.
At least. My
God. I was waiting for him to say, "Where the whiskey drowns and the beer chases my blues away."
Would have been around the right time, too.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that was a highlight, but fuck this Todd Pettingzoo shit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, everyone knows our feelings on Pettingzoo, but couple matches here I'm excited for. Razor Ramon, 1-2-3 Kid, Jeff Jarrett, Road Dogg, that seems pretty exciting. Bret Hart versus Hakushi also seems exciting. Diesel, Sid, it's up in the air. I mean, we're excited about Sid, so I'm not exactly sure where I'm landing on that yet. The Sid promo, this is his quietest promo, but by no means the least terrifying because he still accomplishes to be a scary motherfucker in here. The close up and just his delivery of it is pretty good. So the Sid promo, by far the highlight of this entire petting zoo report.
Yeah, agreed on that. I'm not sure if this is my favorite Sid promo. I kind of liked, what was that? Oh, shit. Was that on Raw or was that WrestleMania where Sid just didn't say anything and just kind of like nodded, staring straight into the camera?
It was right before WrestleMania. I believe.
Okay.
It was leading up to it.
Yeah. That was my favorite Sid promo, and he didn't even say anything at all. Todd Pettingzoo, fuck him. That's just the usual. As far as these matches go, I'm a little disappointed at, once again, singles in tag team action. I would love to just have multiple good tag teams, but we can't have that. So next best thing is going to be Razor Ramon, 1-2-3 Kid, Double J, and the Roadie. I'm super excited to see the Roadie in his in-ring debut here. As far as I know, we haven't seen him actually wrestle yet, have we, in an actual match?
No.
I didn't think so. What I'm more excited about, though, and you might have to correct me on this, Joe, didn't you say a few weeks ago, I think in one of your contemporary news segments, that Bret Hart Hakushi is thought to be one of the better matches of 1995 in whole?
Yeah, there is one match. I don't know if it's this one.
Okay.
I think they worked a program, so I'm not sure which match it was, but I think that I want to say it was a match on Raw. We might see a match on Raw soon that was considered one of the best matches of the year in 95.
Okay. Well, I mean, that, and what we've seen in the past, too, that six-man tag that we had a couple weeks ago whenever I was absent, whenever you guys took over.
Our highest rated episode ever.
Right.
Because my burner phones weren't connected to the internet. So the times that the two of them were in the ring together, it was good. You know, the lead up to this has been good. So whether or not that winds up being the match that I referenced there a couple minutes ago, I don't know, but I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of a match they can put on together. I think that's going to be a pretty good time, even if the rest of it isn't. Again, not a huge fan at least of Diesel, and I would be interested in that match more for Sid than for Diesel, so we'll see what happens.
We never know. He might cripple Diesel.
That's true. Speaking of, we're going to go into our next match. Diesel defeats Bam Bam Bigelow with the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase by pinfall in 15 minutes and 46 seconds to retain the WWF Championship. Bam Bam is on a mission, looking good as he comes down. Whenever he gets into the ring and poses and roars at the hard camera, the busted out tooth and black eye look great on him. And just as a quick aside, Ryan, I'm pretty sure that black eye is real.
It looked fairly real, but yeah, the way they were dealing with it, I'm not sure I liked.
Yeah. Well, after a quick commercial break, we come back to the sound of Roseanne barreling down the highway. And that's what I think I'm going to call this from now on. Diesel's entrance music. Its official title is The Gallop of Roseanne.
Well, good. We'll get to hear Roseanne week in and week out.
Chariots of Roseanne.
Yep. Wah, wah. Vince has an audible orgasm when Diesel raises his arms above his head with the belt, Vince groaning out, "Whoa!" But for Vince, Diesel is so good that he'll make you come twice, as Vince unloads another one for Diesel's pyro display. Whoa! After yet another commercial break, we come back with the Gallop of Roseanne still blasting over the house PA system. If I was there in the crowd, I would have fucking got up and left. And the match begins. This starts off with a not too bad arm drag takedown from Diesel. I'm surprised at how well it went off, all things considered, forcing Bam Bam to the outside to reconsider his strategy here. When Bam Bam comes back in, the work begins. We get a series of rope work, shoulder blocks, Irish whips, ending with Diesel throwing a knee into Bam Bam in the one corner. whipping to the opposite, and then a splash in that corner. I had to note right off the bat here, this is the best that Diesel has ever looked in my eyes. And I think we have Bam Bam to thank for that. Diesel hits an impressive scoop slam on Bam Bam, both competitors making it look easy. There are a couple little instances where you can tell these guys are putting the match together in the ring, as it were, such as when Bam Bam pauses with his head next to Diesel's, then comes in with a series of headbutt, scoop slam, punch, rope work. This is some of Diesel's best work so far, and this is also some of Bam Bam's best work. There have been too many little instances of working and selling to count so far, all of them looking good. And this is highlighted by Bam Bam on the outside with Diesel, picking Diesel up and ramming Diesel back first into the corner post. This looked and sounded great. Even the crowd audibly went, ooh, when it happened. It was so good that Bam Bam picked him up and did it again for a little bit of extra effect. Bam Bam hits a crucifix and misses the win on a 2 count as we break for commercial and come back to Bam Bam holding Diesel in a headlock. Diesel breaks it, rallies, and after some rope work, they made me think of you, Joe, as they hit a double punch in the ring and both wrestlers are on their backs. After Bam Bam gets up, Diesel hits a fantastic arm scoop on Bam Bam's leg. Both sold this very well. This match has had its fair share of twists and turns, the advantage passing back and forth between the competitors equally, until there's a tie-up, with Diesel reversing into a suplex that, once again, makes both competitors look great. Both wrestlers are looking worn out now, selling the exhaustion here in the ring, but Diesel rallies again with a series of punches on Bam Bam. Bam Bam then reverses these into a suplex of his own, putting Diesel to the mat and into a headlock while everyone grabs a quick breather. Ruh-roh, here comes Tatanka, though. This couldn't stay good forever. Tatanka's here to watch as Diesel reverses Bam Bam into a back body drop. There's an audible group of people in the audience yelling war cries at Tatanka. Yee! Tatanka is able to get a cheap shot in while Bam Bam distracts the referee. Gets tons of heat from the crowd with this. The audience is fully invested in what's going on in the ring as we break for commercial. In an attempt to nonchalantly trip up Diesel, Tatanka ends up tripping Bam Bam instead, giving Diesel enough time to set up a big boot off the ropes, and then one of the dirtiest, sloppiest, most dangerous-looking jackknife powerbombs I have ever seen. I literally winced and said, by God, out loud watching this. It looked rough.
It's not going to be the only time I feared for Bam Bam's life tonight.
Yeah, really. This gets Diesel the pin and the 3 count. Diesel really celebrates this victory hard in the ring as the gallop of Roseanne fires up over the house PA. Diesel goes to leave the ring. He's looking back in concern, because DiBiase and Tatanka are now in the ring with Bam Bam. Bam Bam is still a little bit staggered and trying to get on his feet. DiBiase is going to get on the microphone and run down a list of Bam Bam's recent failures and humiliations. The corporation is sick of Bam Bam's shit, and DiBiase chews Bam Bam out quite savagely. This was a good little, I don't know what you'd call it, a promo, whatever, from DiBiase, but he did a great job at it. DiBiase says, 1, 2, 3 strikes and you're out. I have to do something, and here it is. You're fired. And then slaps the shit out of Bam Bam. Bam Bam's not having that, and he starts to walk up on DiBiase. But Tatanka hits Bam Bam from behind. Once the hits start, though, Bam Bam isn't having any of that shit either, and starts taking to Tatanka with a huge pop for the clothesline that ends up putting Tatanka to the mat. Bam Bam tosses Tatanka out, walks up on DiBiase again, this time with the microphone, yelling, "You can't fire me, I quit." Tatanka and DiBiase distract Bam Bam just long enough for IRS to come in from behind, kicking Bam Bam's knee out. And then it's Psycho Sid entering the ring, and as he bends over to go through the ropes, the sweat and oil literally pour off of him in a stream. It's like somebody dumps a cup out next to his head. There was so much liquid pouring off of his fucking head whenever he bent over to get into the ring. Sid puts some big kicks in, then Tatanka and IRS take turns on Bam Bam. Then Bam Bam gets teed up for Sid one more time, and another really sloppy, horrible-looking jackknife powerbomb on Bam Bam, this time performed by Sid. My God. But wait a second, here comes good guy Diesel to clear the ring out. We get a close-up of Sid walking out the entryway as Diesel is clearly seen in the background taunting Sid. Sid looks at the camera and says, "He's nothing. I am the master." And that'll be it for this match and this segment. On that note, Ryan, please get us going on this match.
Thank you. Vince going crazy for Diesel at the beginning. I was laughing my ass off with just how much he was just getting off over him, coming day and night. But yeah, like you mentioned, this was a shock how really entertaining this match was, and really right out of the gate. You know, these two monsters are just throwing each other around, and on top of the smooth action between the two, just the sound effects of how they were pounding each other off the ring and off the ropes. It just was a great spectacle to watch. I could imagine if you were in the actual arena, you know, it was really great. Outside of the jackknife at the end, I can't think of a botched move in this match. Like, they just went back and forth, and they looked really good together. To be honest with you, as I said a little bit earlier, I was not sure about the Diesel Psycho Sid match. I'm a little bit more excited for this. And watching it, I was kind of wondering, you know, what's the deal here? And as I ran through Diesel's better matches compared to his not so good matches, so he seems to work better with bigger guys that are closer to his size, because all of his terrible matches are with little guys. I don't know if he just hasn't learned how to work with smaller guys in the ring yet, but because of that, I'm a little bit more excited for the Diesel Psycho Sid match. The stuff that happens at the end, I'm happy to see Bam Bam get out of the corporation, especially with the shit that it is at this point. We all love Bam Bam. You know, I don't like him having to get humiliated, but if that's what it takes to get him out of the corporation, I'm willing to go through that. But I was concerned for him, especially with Psycho Sid's powerbomb. Did you guys notice Sid's face? Like, no. The way, you need to go back and look. Because, like, his face goes almost blank when he first knocks him down. Because you could tell that he thinks he maybe just killed Bam Bam. And he doesn't get that visceral look back in his face until Bam Bam rolls over and he could tell that he's moving. You need to go back and watch it, because Sid thought he fucking killed him. But, you know, this was all pretty decent storytelling. You know, it kept things going. I don't love the corporation, but it furthered Psycho Sid being a monster here. It got Bam Bam out, and one of the best matches I've seen Diesel in, so I loved it.
Yeah, with Vince putting him over so hard, you know, calling him the most awesome WWF champion in history. It's like, come on, dude. You don't have to do that. He's naturally over with the crowd. You don't have to do that.
Tons of Diesel signs in the audience.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the match was good. Most of my notes were just sort of other random thoughts. I think that, and I'm not, I mean, I'm going to come across as like a huge Kevin Nash fan, but I think we kind of take his skills for granted sometimes. Like, he's probably not worthy of being the champion at this point, but he is a really good wrestler for his size and his style. I mean, I think he's pretty good in the ring. He's entertaining in the ring. He's not great at basic things like running the ropes and stuff like that, but I don't know. He's entertaining to me in the ring. Most awesome WWF champion in history? Probably not, but it's entertaining. The jackknifes are on Bam Bam or not. It's clear that nobody on the roster can powerbomb Bam Bam Bigelow and should probably never attempt it again.
Yeah.
I agree with that. The other thing with Diesel is, like, have we seen Diesel just get a clean win? Like, I don't think we've seen him get a pure,
that's
clean win. We saw him beat Shawn Michaels and Sid got involved. We saw him beat Bret Hart, but Owen and Bob Backlund got involved. And I don't know. It's just the booking of Diesel to me just could have been a lot better. You know, we mentioned before how they sort of treat him like Kevin Nash instead of Diesel sometimes. It's like, well, do one or the other. Either he's Kevin Nash or he's Diesel. Pick one or the other. Bam Bam, for me, I like the storytelling a little bit, but I'm not buying the fact that he was humiliated and embarrassed because he lost to the 1-2-3 Kid. That's not really that embarrassing. He lost to Lawrence Taylor, who they were basically saying was the favorite. I mean, they played it like Lawrence Taylor was the favorite in that match. And he lost to Diesel, the WWF champion. Like, how is that humiliating? I mean, I could see if they had him lose to like some jobber, like Mike Bell or one of these guys. It would make a little bit more sense to me. But I guess it'll be interesting to see where they go with it.
Yeah, those are all great points, by the way. I hadn't really thought about things that way with the Bam Bam and the whole humiliation thing. You're pretty spot on with that. As far as this match goes, this is the best Diesel match I've ever seen. We haven't really seen too many of them. I mean, the fair amount of jobber matches, and then, you know, some of the ones that you listed there, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. But yeah, and I don't know, because in those matches, I'm still not a huge Diesel fan, but was it Bam Bam that got Diesel over here? Was it Bam Bam making Diesel look good? That's kind of what I tend to think. Do you guys know the YouTube? I think they have a YouTube channel, but there's clips on YouTube, and I think it's called Kayfabe Commentaries. It's a guy named Sean Oliver that does shoot interviews. I think his name is Sean Oliver.
Yeah.
But he does these tons of shoot interviews with tons of people in the business. He's got a shoot interview with practically everybody. And I was watching one a few weeks ago with Kevin Nash, and Kevin Nash was talking about this point in his career, and he was being asked about working with Bam Bam Bigelow, and Kevin Nash put over Bam Bam and said, hey, he was able to get a great match out of me. I have no problems with Bam Bam. He always made me look good. So that's what was kept on running through my mind whenever I was watching this match is, yes, it's a great Diesel match, and there's really nothing negative I can say about this match at all. It was a great, great match. But at the same time, because of all of the past Diesel matches I've seen and just not really feeling Diesel, it kind of makes me think that it's because Bam Bam was working so well with him. I mean, just think about it. Bam Bam is the guy that they chose to train LT and put him in a program with a civilian. Apparently, Bam Bam is pretty goddamn good in the business.
But it does take two to tango. You know,
and
we've seen bad wrestlers in other aspects ruin a match with a great wrestler.
Yeah, and that's what I mean with we maybe as a fan, we maybe take Nash's skills for granted because, I mean, look at the other trash that we're dealing with. Duke the Dumpster.
Yeah. Look what Lex Luger could do to a great wrestler. Lex Luger.
Yeah.
He could make that match look like just as big a piece of shit as he is, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, all valid points. I'm not arguing any of that. I'm just saying that it might be Bam Bam in this one. I don't know. I am more than willing to be open-minded and, you know, give me the Sid match. Give me other matches with other people, whoever you want, to keep this momentum going. I would love to see a champion that actually deserves the belt, because I really kind of haven't seen that so far.
And that was why I brought up how this match actually, for the first time, kind of made me excited for this Psycho Sid Diesel match, because I was like, oh, well, maybe it won't be that bad.
Yeah. Although after those two power bombs, one from Diesel and then one from Sid, if this is going to wind up being a dueling power bomb match, holy shit.
Yeah.
But I digress. We'll move it along here. Suffice to say, best Diesel match I've ever seen. So, next up, we're going to have a Todd Pettingzoo voiceover promo. They call him Sid. This is a video package setting up a match next week. Apparently, we're going to get Razor Ramon taking on Psycho Sid. next week on Monday Night Raw. Speak of the devil, we're going to see how these two can work together about equal size. I think Sid's got maybe an inch or two on Razor, but not by much. This promo is going to take us into our final match of the night. Aldo Montoya defeats the Black Phantom by pinfall in 2 minutes and 44 seconds. Cue the Rhythms of Miami. It's the jockstrap warrior, and Aldo has these crazy shoulder pad things now. I have no idea.
His outfit was not bizarre enough.
Yeah, really. What is his look supposed to be? What is he going for with this? What are they trying to do? He's got a normal human being name. He's not like Superman of War or the Man of War with no human name or something like that. Like, his name is Aldo fucking Montoya. Why does he wear a mask? Anyway, the Black Phantom was already in the ring. The Black Phantom is a masked individual as well. So this is going to be superhero versus supervillain. Cartoon versus cartoon. This was all I could think of during this match, as short as it was. Again, 2 minutes, 44 seconds. Vince informs us that they were going to try to go backstage to talk to Bam Bam Bigelow, but Jim Ross beat him to it. Gosh darned it. And I guess since Jim Ross beat him to it, if you want to hear what Bam Bam had to say to Jim Ross, I guess you're going to have to dial up 1-900-SHAMELESS and pick option 54. The in-ring action so far has been lackluster. And so is the finish as Montoya rolls up the Black Phantom for the pin. I'm going to leave it at that in my notes here because there really wasn't a whole lot going on in this match. Yeah, we're going to quickly leave the ring because guess what, guys? We have some words. We have some words from a newcomer in the WWF, and his name is Hunter Hearst Helmsley. We cut to Helmsley sitting in his red leather chair in front of a fireplace wearing a formal suit, tuxedo, and in the background an upscale kind of organ music plays. And there's the sound effect of a fire burning in the fireplace, but there's no fire there. And then I'm not sure if there's like some kind of a glitch or what, but just as Hunter looks at the camera as though he's going to begin to speak, we cut to commercial, and we come back to an ad for the WWF magazine, advertising all kinds of merch. And then it goes to Vince McMahon and Jerry Lawler back at ringside. Rather than try again with Hunter, we're just going to completely ignore that whole thing happened. We're not going to pretend that we got any of that. And we're going to get a replay of what happened after Diesel came in for the save earlier. If you'll remember, the $1 Million Corporation was beating the shit out of Bam Bam. Diesel came in for the save, and then we cut away from that with Psycho Sid on the entryway. What happened after that, though? Bam Bam gets up and ends up shaking hands with Diesel in the ring, thanking him for the assist and the save. Back at commentary, the King bitches about Bret Hart not signing on to have a match against the King. Okay, Vince reminds us that next week it's Razor versus Sid, and that's it. So long, everybody. We fade to black. Joe, please, what did you think of the final match of the evening and all of the things that happened afterwards?
I think the match itself is like when it happened, I thought to myself, why is this happening? Why is this match happening? Because the way that the other thing ended before this was how Raw should have ended.
Yes.
With Sid freaking out over Diesel and yelling at the camera. This was a really poorly produced show, I think.
Yeah.
And I didn't even pay attention to the match other than just noting that Aldo Montoya jobber matches are just not that entertaining to me. And I guess the crowd felt the same way because they were pretty lively the whole night until this match. They were totally, completely silent. And that's not taking away from Aldo Montoya, but it just shouldn't have happened here. It should have happened earlier in the show. The Hunter Hearst Helmsley thing, I guess that was just, that was a mistake, I guess. I don't know. A technical issue, who knows? But I'm definitely looking forward to that. I think it's very cool to see something like that now, knowing that, I mean, this guy is like pretty much running, helping run the WWE now.
As well as railing Vince McMahon's daughter.
Yeah. So I think that'll be cool to see that. And the stuff with Diesel and Bam Bam, I guess we get it official that Bam Bam's a babyface now. So we'll see where that goes.
My confusion is there as well, because it just seems like week in and week out, we'll have a great match and then we'll end it on what should be a dark match. It's like you said, Bartlett, months ago. They just refuse to end things on a good note. I mean, it's not that this was terrible. Gangrel was selling these moves okay. And Montoya flying off the top rope, it was entertaining enough, I guess. It wasn't terrible. It just shouldn't have been the end of Raw. So the match was 3 seconds long and very, very forgettable. The Hunter Hearst Helmsley video, even without the talking, I was pumped. I mean, just seeing him sit there looking like the fucking prick that he is, I loved it. So like you, Joe, I'm really looking forward to that. And just seeing him there was like this feeling of nostalgia that just kind of flowed over you, The footage with Bam Bam and Diesel, yeah, like you said, we got the verification. Bam Bam is a babyface as Diesel, the hero, the good guy Diesel comes out and gives him a hand and they shake hands. So, all right, that's good enough. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm on board with just about everything here, guys. The match itself, I noticed nothing worthy of note, really, other than their outfits, and that this is kind of as cartoony as it gets. He looks like a fucking superhero in these bright colors in the mask.
A really shitty one.
Yes. Going up against somebody that looks like a supervillain. Black mask, black get up, just
very cheap imitation versions. Okay, some superheroes look pretty cool, but not this guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, this is, whenever I say this is in the context of the WWF that apparently can't get anything right at this point in time. They can't get superheroes right. They can't get supervillains right any more than they can get storylines or finishes to episodes right. Yeah, this was a horrible way to end it. You guys have said it already. I won't beat it to death, but the thing with Hunter, that was pretty damn cool. I remember all of that from whenever I was a kid, because whenever I was a kid, I fucking hated Hunter Hearst Helmsley. He was just a one-man heat machine, and he got every ounce of hatred that he could wring out of me as a kid. I couldn't fucking stand him.
I remember just him when he'd walk to the ring with that fucking ponytail and him putting his nose up in the air. You just wanted to fucking kill him.
Whenever he would get the other guy's sweat on him, he would like act all disgusted and like try to wipe himself off with his fingertips, like, ew. Jesus Christ. So, yeah, I was super stoked to see that, because like whenever I think early, like pre-Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, this scene is exactly what I picture. It's funny because you and I were talking about it the other night, Ryan. Early Triple H for me is Triple H by a fireplace in a red leather chair, wearing a fucking bow tie and just talking down on the world. Mm-hmm. Being a condescending prick. And then we didn't get anything from him.
I also love the fact that to this day, it's still truly his name. He's not going by the gimmick. He switched it to Triple H, but that Triple H is Hunter Hearst Helmsley. So I love that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool too. I kept on resisting writing down Triple H. Like, I kind of, just because we're not there yet, I have to call him Hunter or Helmsley or whatever in my notes. But man, I wanted to just write Triple H so bad, because that's, he just went to a whole new level of boning Stephanie McMahon.
Time to play the game.
Yeah. Lucky man in so many aspects.
Who, Stephanie or Hunter?
Hunter, Joe. But that being said, the ending of this, I mean, that was it. That was the highlight of the ending of this for me. So that's it. We're done with this episode. We're going to kick it over now to highlights and lowlights. Ryan, why don't you go first?
My highlight is going to be the best match of the night, the Bam Bam Diesel title defense. Hell of a match. It's been mentioned already today, one of the best we've seen out of Diesel so far, so hard to not pick that as a highlight. And my low light's hard not to pick too, the debut of Bertha Faye. She's just terrible. I mean, as I've already said, it's just unbelievable that this is what we're getting instead of Bull Nakano. It's just really sad.
I am going to agree with your highlight, although I hate how Diesel never gets a clean win. I did like the match itself. I thought it was good. I think they worked well together, Diesel and Bam Bam. My low light, I could have gone with a couple things here, but I have to go with the Bertha Faye and Pantera match because, in my opinion, it is the worst match. I mean, I guess Harvey and the Fink are up there, but I don't know. This is one of the worst matches we've seen on Raw in the past 2 years.
Gentlemen, we're going to go 3 for 3 on this one. Highlights, the Diesel Bam Bam Championship Defense match. Just great all around. I have not a negative thing to say about it. Joe, you do make a great point about the clean win, and that's something that I never really noticed before, but now that you bring it up, definitely have a point there. I don't think it really bothers me as much as it bothers you, but it's interesting nonetheless. But yeah, best Diesel match I've seen so far, and that's great. That's a good thing. As much as I don't think Diesel really deserves the belt right now, I want to be convinced otherwise. You know, I want to see good matches. It's not like I just want to sit here and shit on Diesel all day long. I want him to be good.
Yeah, it seems like they're just like overprotective of him or something, of the character or something, you know, with Vince putting him over desperately when it's not really necessary.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, my low light, obviously, Bertha Faye. Just, God.
Oh, Bertha.
There goes the women's division.
Yo, is this the first time all three of us has agreed on both the highlights and low light?
Might be, yeah.
It's happened once or twice before, but not...
It's rare.
Not very often, that's for sure. Yeah, all right, cool. Well, that's a highlight in and of itself. We all agree on something. 2 things at once. How about that? Joseph, I don't suppose you have any contemporary wrestling news from on and around April 24th, 1995 for us, do you?
2 things at once, huh? How about 2 Berthas at once? Would you like that?
No.
The first note I have here is the German tour. We heard about that with Vince talking about Diesel returning from Germany. So the German tour was apparently a huge success, which is a little surprising considering that house shows are not doing very well at this time in the United States. So they had full houses at every show. I'm not sure exactly how many shows they did, but it went very well according to the Observer. And Hakushi versus the 1-2-3 Kid was considered the best match on those shows.
Yeah. Okay.
The next tour overseas is set for Germany, Austria, Dublin, and London in June. So next month they're going to be traveling again. The latest rumor is that Chris Candido and Tammy Sitch will use the names Skip and Sonny. And I'm just thinking to myself when I'm reading this, like, what the fuck is taking so long?
Yeah, I feel like it's been months that you've been teasing them.
It has been. I don't know why it's taking so fucking long. Like, these are people that are clearly 2 people that need to be on TV immediately.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about Bam Bam Shiner that he had, the black eye. That came from the German tour. I'm not sure exactly who he wrestled, but it did come from that tour. Dave Meltzer gave the Bam Bam versus Diesel match 3/4 of a star.
What?
He hated it. He said that neither of them had any fire and Diesel looked unusually clumsy. And I think we would all disagree with Mr. Meltzer.
Was he watching the same match?
I mean, the jackknife was clumsy, but everything else seemed
the jackknife is always clumsy.
Yeah.
Unless it's the 1-2-3 Kid.
Maybe he had jet lag or something. I don't know. I didn't think it was that bad.
I mean, we've said it before and we'll say it again, man. Fuck Meltzer.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it.
Jeez, oh man. Yeah, like I think that is so funny. Like we're sitting here popping our asses off over this Diesel match, and Meltzer's like, nah, it fucking sucked.
Well, and let's clarify for the fans here. We don't collaborate before we go on here. So it's not like we convinced each other or one another about this. This is three people that came to the conclusion on their own that this was a good match. So yeah, I don't know. Unless we're just that bad and Meltzer's that good at picking talent. I don't know.
I suppose anything is possible, but
yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Joseph, illuminating as always. And that's it, folks. We're done with this one. I want to thank you again for joining us, and if you like what we're doing here and want to connect with us, you can find us on every major social media and podcast subscription platform by searching up the handle Wrasslin Raw. That's WRASSLINRAW. While you're there, don't forget to click subscribe to get every episode of Wrasslin Raw coming to you every week. Give us a 5-star review and let your friends know about the fastest growing wrestling podcast in the world. Next week on Wrasslin Raw, we're going to take a look at the Raw that aired on May 1st, 1995, with matches featuring Psycho Sid, Butler Stevens, and many more. So, for Joe and Ryan, I'm Jason, and this has been Wrasslin Raw.